So you know for sure you want to go to grad school. You've been applying to a few programs and now you've gotten a few offers. How do you pick which program do you want to go to at the graduate level? So there are a few similarities, but and also differences between picking a program at the undergrad level versus at the graduate level. Um, for most cases, once you have a graduate degree, people only look at where you did your grad studies and not so much where you did your undergrad. Once you have, a master's at least, the what you did for your bachelor's is kind of it becomes obsolete. So the similarities between picking an undergrad program and a grad program is, you first and foremost you want to make sure it is within your interest area, and that the program that you're going for is a good program tailored to your interests. You don't want to go into a program that's a complete mismatch of what you want to do in the future. For example, if you want to go into a more technology field, for example, you want to be able to create things or to learn technical skills, then obviously going into a more business oriented program tailored for technology students might not be the right fit. You might want to pursue something more in the engineering or computer science field. So the first thing is, once you get your offers, really dive down and make sure that these programs is what you thought it is. A lot of students end up applying to programs just based off of the name of the program or the prestige of the school, and they don't really take the time to really, look at the courses, to really understand what you learn. Go talk to the alumni, go talk to the program director to see what, where the students end up afterwards. So to really better understand, like for what your interest area are and what your goals are from getting this after going to this grad program, whether or not this grad program will give you what you want. So that's the first step. The second thing that I would say that is kind of different from undergrad programs, of course, some students may choose their undergrad program based on this as well, but in general, grad school is really about networking and opportunities. Even if you go into a research stream, it's still about networking. It's about broadening and expanding your own personal networks so that, in 2 to 3 years' time or 4 years' time, once you, graduate from graduate school, you have a network of people you can tap into to help start off your career or to help propel or exponentially, upgrade your career pathways. And in doing so, you really need to consider what networks these grad programs are going to offer you. One of the most crucial considerations here is location. If you are, intending to work in Canada after graduation, you want to work in Vancouver or Toronto, then you want to consider whether or not the program that you're going to is going to give you access to those networks. If you're thinking of going to a school in the States, and you pre-existently don't have any networks in Canada, and then now you're going to the States for grad school where the majority of your networks is going to build in the American system, and that's a crucial, important factor to consider. Of course, after going to the States for grad school, you can come back to Canada and find a job, but having those networks initially really will help you tremendously. So that's a crucial consideration to consider. It is the location, and in particular, where do you want to work afterwards? And will often drive your decision in this, because oftentimes universities often bring in recruiters or researchers, adjuncts, whatever, to come in to the program and talk and to network with students, and oftentimes they pick people who are around them. So for example, if you're going to a school in Boston, oftentimes the people that they're gonna draw in are gonna be from the Boston area. So you want to make sure that where you intend to work afterwards is well aligned again with the program that you're intending to go into. Now, the only caveat to this is if you intend to go work into in a smaller area, for example, in more suburban or more rural area, then of course, this probably wouldn't really matter, because oftentimes universities and colleges are located in larger cities. So in this instances, if you are hoping to go back to work in a smaller or more rural area, then you might just want to consider the fit of the program, and then maybe the prestige of the program that you're attending to, because oftentimes what I find is smaller universities, or smaller organizations in more rural settings oftentimes will try to recruit people from more prestigious universities and colleges. So this might give you a benefit and leg up in this regard if you're hoping to go into a more suburban area post-grad. And the last crucial question here that you need to ask when it comes to, picking your grad program is, think about what this grad program will give you that you don't already have. And this is a shift in mindset from picking an undergrad program versus a graduate program, because for the most part, when high school students apply to universities and colleges, they need an undergrad degree for, very many reasons, either because of family pressures or that, a lot of jobs do require at least a bachelor's these days. But at the graduate level, graduate degrees sometimes are seen as optional. There are a lot of fields that don't require a graduate degree. There are a lot of jobs that don't require a graduate degree. So you really need to consider how going into this graduate program that you've now received an offer from will be any different than your undergrad degree. So for example, if you already did your undergrad degree in chemistry, and now you're pursuing a master's in chemistry, ask yourself, are there any skill set that you need or you want from this graduate program? Is it that because you want a master's degree, so you are higher up in the applicant pool? Is it because there are particular skills that you want to get from the graduate degree? Is it because the jobs that you're always looking at always require a master's, or that maybe you want to go into academia afterwards? So these are really important questions to ask yourself. And unfortunately, if you don't have a really, good reason between, why you want to pursue a grad degree that's already really similar to your undergrad, and you don't have a clear-cut reason on why, then you really want to consider, whether or not going to grad school is good for you. Because if there's no good reason now, it is very likely that in 2 years' time, after you finish your grad studies for your master's, you're probably going to be in the same spot again, that you might not know what to do next, if that's the case for you. So really consider how the program will differ than your undergrad program, and oftentimes this is also a good consideration in terms of vetoing or selecting which grad program you want to go into. Obviously, for a lot of students, they end up in a grad program that's in a similar area as their undergrad, and which is totally fine. But you want to make sure that what you learn in the graduate studies is going to be different enough so that you can say it was a well time spent in the next 2 years, and that you're not just regurgitating the information you already learned in the previous 4 years. So that's a good tip in terms of, again, trying to figure out whether or not you want to go into grad studies, and then if you are at that stage of selecting a program, to also use this criteria to help you assess which programs can be scratched off and which ones can be left on the list. So if you have been applying to grad programs and you already received a couple of offers and you're trying to figure out which grad program to go to, my 3 tips for you is, first, look at the match of your interests versus the program. You make sure that they're well aligned and that this program will give you those skills and those things that you want from the grad program in 2 or 4 years' time. The second thing is to look at the location. Consider where you want to work post-grad, and to see whether or not these programs will offer you those networking opportunities. A huge part of grad studies isn't about knowledge gathering. It's really about the networks and opportunities. So you don't want to miss out on this. And then the third thing that you want to consider is, really consider the criteria that you're using to, remain a program on your list versus scratching them off. You want to make sure that, again, this program is what you want to learn, but also, more importantly, if you're going into a field that's quite similar to your undergrad degree already, really consider what this grad program will offer you that's different than your undergrad program. You want to make sure that you're still going to be spending the next 2 to 4 years learning new content and new skills, and you don't want it to be a regurgitation of your bachelor's degree.